Hello, this is a guide from my cast on Minion Stormweaver. As you can see, it has insane single target damage, fantastic clear, maximum levels of fun by flooding your screen with comets, and in this video I will go over the build mechanics, gear, gems, and finally the passive tree, and then finish off with some tips on how you can tailor it to your playstyle. So let's get right into it. So starting off, I will do a quick recap of the mechanics of the build. We are using Fireball to summon Raging Spirits, and when these Raging Spirits come in contact with an enemy or expire, they will automatically cast our Frost Walls and Comets. I will further elaborate on this mechanic in just a moment as we go over our gear. So starting off, I will just go ahead and quickly hover over each piece of gear in case anybody wants to immediately copy it, and then afterwards I will go in and explain each piece and how they work together. So starting off with our wand here, the main stats you're looking for are going to be +4 level of all cold spell skills, or all spell skills. After that, you are going to want increased spell damage, and it's important that it is increased spell damage and not lightning or cold, because we are doing half of each element. Following that, you're going to want the increased critical hit chance for spells, and the cast speed is not necessary, it is just on there for feel good while mapping. Next up, we have our @series Disdain. This thing is giving us all of our energy shield. This one's been corrupted for a little bit of extra energy shield off our maximum life. Not necessary, but it's nice and it's cheap. This is the new addition to the build, which is going to be a Scepter. Now, what you're looking for here is going to be an Omen Scepter base to grant you the Malice skill, and increased Spirit, maximum mana, and increased mana regeneration rate. This thing was incredibly cheap. It was only like 10 exalts or something like that. The most important part about this is that you're going to need at least 60% increased spirit in order to get enough spirit for the current gem setup that I have here. Also, when you are buying the scepter, be careful not to get one that has increased minion elemental resistances. I have had one with a little bit of that line and it seemed like it was okay, but I'm worried that too much of it may break the build, so just avoid it. Next up, we have our amulet here. This is how we are triggering most of our spells. With the key line, take 120 fire damage when you ignite an enemy. This, in combination with the Necromantic Talisman keystone that reads all bonuses from an equipped amulet applied to your minions instead of you, and the Summon Raging Spirit support Infernal Legion reading minions from supported skills ignite enemies within a radius of 1.5 meters, means that our Summon Raging Spirits will instantly die the moment they enter the range of any mob. Next up, we have our chest piece here. Just a big ES chest piece is all you're looking for. I got some additional resistances there on the suffixes, but just a big ES chest piece, and your best base is going to be the Keith Remit for increased mana regeneration rate. Next up, I'll go over the gloves, belt, and boots. All three of these pieces are basically the same thing. The main stats you're looking for here are going to be life, mana, resistances, and a stat would be nice, but not necessary. All three of them are essentially the same thing. And then next up we have our rings here. Again, it's just all the same thing. Life, mana, resistances, and on your rings you want increased mana regeneration rate though. And that is the same for both of these rings. So starting off, I will go over our gem setup next. This is going to be the mapping setup, and then I will end with what you want to swap in for bossing. First off, we have Malice linked with Persistence. Our first cast on minion linked with Comet, Spell Echo, Inspiration, Spell Cascade, Magnified Effect. Our second cast on minion with Frost Wall, Fortress, Lightning Exposure, Rising Tempest, Glacier. Next up, we have our Fireball, which is at the minimum level of 9. This is very important so that when you cast Fireball, you do not break your Frost Walls. This will cause the Summon Raging Spirits to be clumped together on top of a single target and give much more energy. This is linked to Scattershot, Unleash, Ricochet, Arcane Tempo, and Mobility. Raging Spirits with the minimum level of 4, with Infernal Legion, Feeding Frenzy, Minion Instability, and Fire Exposure. Eye of Winter with Strip Away, Cold Exposure, Inevitable Critical, and Deceleration. Conductivity with Heightened Curse. Blink with Ingenuity and Second Wind. Archmage, Lightning Mastery, and finally Grim Feast with Clarity. Next up, we have our weapon set passives. Our first cast on minions linked to set 1, Second one, set 1. Fireball, set 1. Raging Spirits, set 1. Eye of Winter to set 2. Conductivity to set 2. Blink to set 2. Archmage to set 1. And Grim Feast to set 1. So there are some important notes about gems that you should know. First of all, our Fireball again needs to be a low level. The minimum level it can be is level 9. You want this so it does not break frost walls. Next up, our Raging Spirits you also want at the minimum level 4. This is also incredibly important. This will make it so that when the Raging Spirits are summoned and they come in contact with a mob, they will instantly die to the ignite damage from our amulet. For our gems for bossing, you are going to want to remove Spell Cascade from your first Castle Minion setup and replace Rising Tempest in the second one. Next up, you're going to want to equip Concentrated Effect to the Comet setup, remove Magnified Effect, and put it on Sigil of Power. In addition to this, you want to take Ingenuity from your Blink setup and slot it into the Frostwall setup over Glacier, and then put Considered Casting into the Comet setup. As of right now, this is probably bugged. A commenter made this comment on a previous video and said that this works, but the line here is supports spell skills that hit enemies and you cast yourself. Typically in Path of Exile, you casting yourself does not include triggered skills. So if this is indeed bugged, it's not that much of a damage loss. You would just take that out and slot in Rising Tempest instead. Next up is our passive tree. I will do a just quick overview and then talk about it right after. So we come up here, grab those, grab this stuff up here, come down here and grab all this. Now just a couple quick notes here about the passive tree. Although we are an Archmage build, we are not currently taking Mind over Matter. This is because the 50% less mana recovery rate line, along with our 3,791 mana pool currently, we could not sustain the number of comets that we are pumping out, and it would just us instantly. In place of that, though, we have just spent 3 nodes here for 16% of damages taken as mana before life. I've found that this has been plenty enough tankiness. Other than that, we are just taking all these crit damage nodes on the side here. Basically everything that you can touch that is crit, along with these trigger wheels here and here. These two are very crazy. I'd also like to note that I myself am a softcore player, so I enjoy big damage number. If you are not finding this to be tanky enough, just go ahead and drop some crit nodes, drop some extra damage, and pick up extra energy shield where you're close by, and that'll probably be plenty. Next, I will go over the weapon set passives. We are taking this wheel down here, as well as this node here, along with this crit wheel to the left. We are coming up here and taking this crit wheel at the top, along with this trigger wheel to the right, and this trigger wheel down here. For the second set, we are taking this exposure wheel here, as well as the one at the top, the curse wheel right next to it, as well as this curse wheel down here, and pathing down here to a little more exposure over here. Finally, I will talk about our jewels real quick. Lines you're looking for here are going to be mainly meta skills gain number increased energy. This is a huge damage gain. Following that, you want stuff like increased elemental damage, increased critical damage bonus, increased critical strike chance for spells. 2% recovery mana on kill is also very nice for mapping. I just have one of these. Increased maximum energy shield, mana regeneration rate, anything like that. So that's going to be it from me. If you have any questions about this build, just leave a comment below and I will get back to you. I will also have a pinned comment at the top with a frequently asked questions and additional info, so feel free to check that out. If you like this video, please leave it a like. And if you want to see more builds like this in the future, or more follow-ups to this build specifically, subscribe now. I'm just going to leave a little bit of raw footage at the end of the video here, showcasing a full map, to try to give you an idea if this is something that you would like to play. And yeah, thanks for watching.
There is power in this object. I can feel it. I need more time. Not yet. Not yet. I can't do that yet. Fire taken! I can't do that yet. Didn't break a sweat. A rare treasure.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games.
Subscribe now and like the video.